What's up, guys? I'm back for another episode, for another talk, another discussion. I wanted to titles today's video on August 26th, 2026. I wanted to title it Beware the Fence Sitters. Beware the fence sitters. There are a lot of people who are in the space for the wrong reasons. They may not know necessarily which way to go, and there's some innocence in that. But then there are those who understand exactly what's going on both sides of the spectrum. Um, Shaw 256 and Blake 2B, Core V Knots, and they're fence sitting regardless. They are neither for Core, they are neither for Knots. They're just in the middle. And I say beware of them because, you know, BIP 110 and Blake 2B arrived, right? Because we need to choose what we believe Bitcoin should be. Okay? Even though it's very simple. If you adhere to the white paper, without misconstruing any of the context, it's very easy to see that Bitcoin is money. Okay? Even though we take it and we peg it against something that is um, devaluing into negatives every day more and more, right? Um, there is no real neutrality in a fight over Bitcoin's future. Like there's no way for someone who truly seeks to be like ethical in this space, like there's no real neutrality. Like for you to say that, oh yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna stay out of it. I'm just gonna stick my head in the sand like an ostrich and hope for the best. You're giving way for the ones like Sailor and Core, and you're just making it easier for them to, you know, redefine what Bitcoin is because that's what they've done. You know, doing nothing supports the existing system by default. Choosing to sit on the fence and remain neutral, you're essentially saying, well, what's going on right now isn't really bothering me, so I don't really see an issue to be addressed, right? And even though, you may not be picking the side of Core or Knots or BIP 110 or Blake 2B, just being aware that there is an issue at hand and choosing to do nothing about it is a problem, you know? And I get it. Not all of us are necessarily in the most advantageous position to do anything about what's going on in our lives. I understand what it means to not have options, and the outlook looks bleak, but if there's a will, there's a way. And I hate to oversimplify it like that, but that's truly how humanity's even gotten this far. You know, Society at large, all of this wouldn't be possible if majority of people, not everyone, but if majority of people were just fence sitters, nothing would ever happen. Nothing would ever happen. It would just be get along with the go along. You just follow whoever appears the most successful, and that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. Doing nothing supports the existing system by default. Fence sitters wait to see who wins before taking a position, right? And that's largely true because um, there's not enough kicking and screaming over what's going on with core. Like you can still scour the internet and YouTube, and there are all these think tanks, Yahoo Finance, CNBC, Fox News, MSN. They all have their opinions on Bitcoin, you know but if you pay attention to the things they talk about, none of it actually has to do with the code. None of it has to do with core VNots. Most of them, I'm sure, if you ask them about core VNots, they wouldn't know what to say. Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm aware of MSTR and STRC and BlackRock and IBIT and Andy Back. You know, they want the benefits of being right without risking being wrong. And that's why Blake to be is so enticing to me. That's why BIP 10 was so enticing to me. And before BIP 10, that's why Bitcoin became extremely enticing to me, because it was it was a coalition of the willing that recognized that something was wrong with the way we were denominating things against a currency that's dropping in value every day. With every breath I take, every passing second, the dollar is worth less. You know, and for those of you that are like that, I ask you, like, what would actually make you pick a side? If you're a fence sitter and you're sitting on the fence and you're wondering, like, oh, I don't know enough about it, so I'm just going to stay out of it. And you continue to buy Bitcoin and you don't ask yourself the deeper question, like, you don't even want to care to understand what it is that you're holding, but you're just, being an NPC, just doing as told. Well, they said just buy it and hold it and I'll make money. Like, that's not enough. Like, are you running a node? Do you self custody? So many things, so many ways to learn to do this thing correctly. Like, I think the biggest hypocrisy today is when people say, or like, oh, I don't know. Oh, so you just don't know. So instead of taking the steps to find out and educate yourself, you're just doing nothing about it. You're just fence sitting. And then the same people, right? I'll use a real life example, like town hall meetings and stuff. Like, be honest, who the hell goes to a town hall meeting? Who goes? I'm not saying no one goes. Sure, people go, but like, show of hands, who goes? I'm not raising my hand because I never go. But I still get upset, just like a lot of other people in society, when taxes go up or some new thing is enforced that I'm not happy about, and whether I like it or not, I'm paying for it. Right. So, you know, a lot of the time, like, let's decide let the market decide is a cop out. You know, we are the market, but if the market is overflowing with sheep, they're going to be herded. There's always going to be the wolves and the sheepdogs that are going to come along and try to push the herd one way or another. you know Node runners, miners, hodlers, and developers all influence the outcome. It's a collective effort. But if we have an overwhelming majority of people that are in the space that hold the asset, whether it be the actual thing like real BTC or the ETFs or MSTR or STRC, which are derivatives built on top of Bitcoin, for those who may not know, or choose not to know, hence the subject matter of the video today. You know, neutrality naturally favors the SHA. It's going to be in favor of the SHA-256 algorithm because it is already the dominant, chain. That's the only reason. They have no deeper understanding of it. They just understand that, well, the version that I can, log on to an exchange and buy it, like that's what I see as real Bitcoin. If you're telling me this isn't real Bitcoin, like what is real Bitcoin? You know? And most people, they're not even going to care to explore that. They're just going to stop right there and say, well, someone told me buy Bitcoin, it's here, I'm going to buy it. Or, oh, I think it's a scam, you know? And it's like that's what they want, That's what they want. They don't want people to become low time preference individuals because when you're low time preference, you're avoidant of debt and instant gratification and payday loans and let in, like credit against Bitcoin. Like it's kind of crazy to me. It's kind of crazy to me, man. Like these are all just things that are meant to distract us from the goal. Again, it's a byproduct of fence sitting. For all the people that own Bitcoin and don't run a node and don't, you know, pay attention to the GitHub or are even aware of the Bitcoin mailing list, like, you know, how does it feel knowing that you're still just doing the same thing? You're just doing what someone told you to do. Like, why not? Why don't we think for ourselves and have real opinions versus being too indecisive and complacent even in our ignorance? You know, Blake 2B does more than just create an alternative. It it restores Bitcoin's main ability to allow people a chance to win, you know? Like something that isn't manipulated, something that for the first time in the history of mankind is fair no matter which point in time you get in. You get in now, you got in yesterday, 10 years ago, 2009, it doesn't matter. Like it's fair because if there's one thing Saylor used to say that regardless of what he's become now is true is everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. Even the fence sitters. They'll get Bitcoin at the price they deserve. All right. I mean, it's just it's almost like crazy to me, like how people don't understand that silence and inaction is a decision within itself, right? Like there's always a third option when there's two options. There's always a third, assuming you don't have like a gun to your head or something, or like the threat of violence. Like you can do something, or you could do nothing. Like you can join one side or the other, but also the third option is just choosing to do nothing. Like you can be on knots and Blake 2B and BIP 110, or you can be on core with Sailor and the Bitcoin Security Consortium. And then there's the third option where you can just be, you know, the ostrich with, your head in the sand. Just gonna ignore it. I'm not paying attention. It'll resolve itself. A lot of these Bitcoin YouTubers, that's kind of what it is. Like they're not talking about the chain split that's coming um on September 1st. They're not talking about the update for Blake 2B that's going to be arriving within the next 2 or so weeks. There's no discussion about what's going on in the deeper realm of Bitcoin. It's all just number go up and, oh, it changed my life and, I'm free and I can afford to spend more time with my family. And those things are great. Those things are great. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's benefited me as well. But the discussion should be more than just that. It should be more than just, oh, it changed my life for the better. So, just buy it and hold it. Okay, but what's going on under the hood? You know, if I go to a car dealership and I want to buy the car, I want to see the vehicle's history. Like, I want to pop the hood or the trunk and get a look at the motor, depending on the kind of setup the car is. Some motors are rear loaded. You know, if you own a Corvette or an exotic supercar or something, you might have experienced that. But that's neither here nor there. Don't be a fence sitter. Don't be a fence sitter. Inaction has consequences. If you don't choose your principles, the market will choose them for you. You know, Bitcoin is powerful because it gives us a choice. Okay, it gives us a choice. But then within that choice, at least with, Blake 2B on the way, you can objectively be right or wrong. And sitting on the fence, waiting for a victor to emerge and then running there is not a viable choice. Like you need to pick a side, you know? So yeah, beware the fence sitters. And not just in Bitcoin, but in life in general, you know? Like always be weary of that. Or if you are gonna do it, don't do it forever. Yeah. And I didn't forget. Um, I did not forget. I'm gonna start, like I said last video, I'm gonna start doing some reaction videos, to some of these Bitcoin YouTubers. It should be fun. Should be fun. Yeah. All right, guys. See you in the next one. Later.